So here's the thing. Money, it's always secondary. That might sound strange coming from someone who used to chase every dollar like it held the keys to freedom. But I've lived that path. I've built. I've burned out. I've bounced back. And now, I know better. What really shifted things for me wasn't the number in my account. It was what I realized along the way. So if you're here thinking you need to figure out how to get rich, pause that thought for a second, because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn something far more valuable than money. Before we go anywhere, just do one thing. Grab a pen and paper. I'm serious. Because the things I'm about to say, they're not just to be listened to, they're meant to be absorbed. These are the lessons I wish I'd tattooed into my 20s. And if you pay attention, if you actually apply them, I promise you, 5 years from now, you'll be living in a completely different reality than the one you're in today. So, let's begin. There was a time I thought time was free. I treated it like spare change, spent it without thinking, gave it to things that didn't matter. Netflix binges, endless scrolling, overthinking things that never happened. And then one day, I woke up and realized time had been spending me, and I couldn't get any of it back. You can always earn more money, but your time, that's your real currency. When you treat your time with the same respect billionaires treat their calendars, everything changes. I started saying no more. No to distractions, no to fake urgency, no to things that didn't match who I wanted to become. And slowly, I started to feel rich, without a raise, without a bonus, just by taking my time back. You want real freedom? Learn to guard your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Then there's energy. And I don't mean some abstract vibe thing. I'm talking about that fire inside you, your ability to stay focused, to show up, to keep moving when it's easier to quit. I used to think success was just a to-do list, but energy, man, that's what fuels everything on that list. Protect your mornings, sleep like it's sacred, choose food that makes you feel alive, stop hanging around people who drain you. Energy doesn't lie. When you protect it, everything you touch gets better. Your business grows, your relationships deepen, you stop feeling like you're drowning in your own life. That's not a feeling you can buy, but you can build it by managing your energy like it matters, because it does. And now, let me talk to you about something most people overlook: relationships. And no, I don't just mean romantic ones, I mean all of them. Friends, family, mentors, people who remind you who you are on days you forget. When I was building my first business, I made a big mistake. I shut people out. I thought I needed to grind alone, but what I actually did was cut myself off from the very fuel I needed most: connection. You want to grow? Get around people who talk about ideas, not gossip. People who clap when you win and check on you when you fall silent. A single conversation with the right person can be more valuable than 6 months of YouTube videos. That's not some cliche. That's real. Relationships are multipliers. They magnify everything: your confidence, your learning, even your income. Build with the right people, and life becomes lighter, faster, freer. That's 3 lessons so far, but they're not just lessons. They're leverage: time, energy, relationships. You align those 3, and money won't be something you chase. It'll start showing up like a shadow, quietly, predictably, always behind the real work. Let's pause here. If any of this hits something in you, write it down. Let it sit with you. Rewind it if you need to, because this isn't a video you just hear. It's one you come back to when you forget what matters. And we've got more coming in part 2. Deeper, sharper, more real. You ready? All right, you're still here. That means you felt something in part 1. That's good, because where we're going now, it cuts even deeper. These next few lessons aren't just about how you move through the world, they're about how you hold yourself together when the world moves through you. Let's talk about the mind, the stories you tell yourself, the ones that play in the background when no one's watching. That voice in your head, it's either a coach or a critic. And I'll be real with you, mine used to be brutal. Every mistake turned into proof that I wasn't good enough. Every failure felt like a verdict. Until one day I realized those thoughts weren't mine. They were borrowed from teachers, parents, failures, even random people who barely knew me. And yet, I believed them. I let them run the show. But once I started rewriting those stories, once I chose to narrate my own path, my entire direction shifted. You cannot create a new life with the same old thoughts. You want to be wealthy, strong, grounded? Start thinking like someone who already is. Not in a fake it way, in a rewire your reality way, because that's what it takes. Now, let me tell you something. People don't say enough. Effort isn't always the answer. Ownership is. I used to work like a madman, no sleep, all hustle, burned out more times than I can count. But the real shift came when I stopped measuring how hard I worked and started measuring how much of my life I actually owned. I started asking, am I living by design or by default? Am I choosing my path or just reacting to it? That's where real power lives. Ownership doesn't mean controlling everything. It means being honest about what you're building and why. Most people are busy building someone else's version of success. Don't let that be you. And now, something that's invisible, but more valuable than gold, your attention. It's the most limited resource you have. Not time, not money, attention. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. I learned this the hard way. Every time I gave my attention to fear, to drama, to people who didn't respect my boundaries, I got more of it. Every time I focused on growth, on service, on becoming sharper, I grew. It's that simple. Not easy, but simple. Guard your attention, like your future depends on it, because it does. You're not distracted because the world is noisy. You're distracted because you haven't decided what matters most. Once you do, everything else becomes background noise. That's 6 down, 5 to go. But don't rush past these. Sit with them. Time, energy, relationships, mindset, ownership, attention. This isn't just a list, it's a mirror. You're starting to see where your power's been leaking and where you're about to get it back. You want to keep going? Let's keep going. All right, let's keep going. Because the next few lessons, they're the ones that quietly shift everything. Not because they're loud, but because once you feel them, you can't unsee them. Let's talk about silence. Not just the absence of noise, but the kind of stillness most people are scared of. I used to fill every gap in my day with something. Music, scrolling, background noise, even thoughts that didn't need to be there. But you know what silence taught me? That clarity doesn't come when you force it. It comes when you make space for it. Some of the biggest decisions I've made, the ones that brought real change, didn't happen during a brainstorm or a strategy session. They happened when I was walking alone, when I unplugged, when I finally let my mind breathe. If you're feeling lost, anxious, confused, stop trying to think your way out. Get quiet. Let the answers come to you, because they will, but only if you stop drowning them in noise. Now listen closely to this next one. What you tolerate grows. This one stung when I first realized it, because I used to think I was being understanding, patient, even humble. But what I was really doing was tolerating disrespect, tolerating excuses, tolerating low standards, especially from myself. And every time I allowed it, it multiplied. Not overnight, slowly, quietly, until I woke up in a version of my life that didn't look like mine anymore. That's when I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't tolerate what drained me anymore. Not in people, not in habits, not in the voice in my head. And you know what happened? Everything around me started leveling up. Respect doesn't start with others. It starts with what you allow in your own space. So ask yourself right now, what have I been tolerating that needs to go? Now, this next one, it's heavy and freeing at the same time. You are already trading your life for something. Every hour you spend, every habit you reinforce, every yes you give away, you're making a trade. Most people don't realize it until it's too late. They look up one day and think, where did all that time go? Why does my life feel like it belongs to someone else? And the answer is simple. They were trading their life for comfort, or approval, or validation, or safety. And look, I get it. I've done that too. But once I got crystal clear on what I actually wanted to trade my time and energy for, my entire life shifted. I wasn't perfect, still not, but I was intentional. And that's when it all started compounding. So here's the truth. You don't get to skip the trade. You only get to choose who you're trading with. That's 9. And if you've been writing this down, really reflecting on each one, you're already ahead of 99% of people who'll hear these words and do nothing. But not you. You're different. You stayed. You listened. You're ready. You're still here. That means you didn't just want motivation. You wanted change. You wanted something real. So let's bring this home. Lesson 10. Simplicity scales. I didn't understand this for years. I thought growth meant doing more, learning more, juggling more. But the deeper I got into business, health, relationships, even peace of mind, I saw a pattern. The people who win long-term, they simplify, they cut the fluff. They focus on fewer things, done consistently. My business exploded the moment I stopped trying to be everywhere and started mastering one lane. My relationships got better when I stopped trying to be perfect and just started being present. Even my health improved when I stopped chasing hacks and stuck to the basics. The world will try to convince you that complexity equals intelligence, but that's a trap, because the truth is, real intelligence is knowing what not to do. It's in saying no. It's in the structure you build before you chase results. You want to go far? Make your life lighter, make it lean, make it sustainable. Now, the last one, lesson 11. And this one, it lives underneath all the others, freedom over fortune. It's the reason I made this video. It's why I turned down certain partnerships, why I stopped chasing applause, and why I walked away from certain deals even when the money looked good. Because what I realized is this: the richest person isn't the one with the most dollars. It's the one who wakes up without anxiety, who eats without guilt, who loves without fear, and who works from choice, not desperation. I've met people with millions in the bank who are emotionally bankrupt, and I've met people living modestly who are so rich in purpose, you feel it when they speak. That's the kind of wealth I want for you. Not just bank balance, inner balance, not just freedom to buy, freedom to be. So that's 11 truths, 11 hard-earned lessons from someone who's still learning, still growing, but finally doing it from a place of peace. Now, let me leave you with this. You know why I made this video? Not to go viral, not to sell you anything, but because I've been there. I've had success and still felt empty. I've burned out. I've sabotaged good things. I've stared at the ceiling wondering why I still didn't feel there yet, wherever there even is. My screen time was out of control. I was addicted to gambling, to porn, to scrolling through other people's lives. My relationships crumbled. My health broke down. My mind was in chaos. And all I had to show for it was anxiety, panic attacks, and silence. But somewhere in that mess, I found a crack of light. I started journaling, reading, building something of my own, slowly, quietly, without needing anyone to clap. And brick by brick, I rebuilt my mind, my peace, my freedom. So now I make these videos because I know what it feels like to be stuck. I know what it feels like to think I should be further by now, but you're not too late. You're exactly where you're meant to begin. So here's what I want you to do. In the comments, write down what you felt while watching this. Something that hit, something that made you pause. Then come back in a week, read it again. Look at what changed. And if this meant something to you, share it. Not just the video. Share how it made you feel. Because someone else out there, they need that spark right now. And if you want more of this, subscribe. It's free. It helps more than you know. And every subscription from today forward goes towards something that matters. Because we're donating 1 cent for every subscriber this year, and you'll get to choose where that money goes. You see, we're not just building content here, we're building clarity. Thank you for being part of it. Let's keep growing together.